Rings of Power delivered something like that, where we got Disa screaming.
boy.
I wish I had the clip of it. Actually, I was combing YouTube for it, and I can't find it yet. But yeah, like there's a moment in this goddamn episode, man. The gist is that like Durin realizes that his dad's been possessed by the ring, and he's delving far too deeply into the mines, and so he and Disa resolve to stop the miners from getting in there and doing any more delving. So it's just her stood there when they show up, and how can I even describe it? She just turns around and she does this weird chant, which is pretty much like the Power of Many moment.
Wait, is she like trying to stop them from mining by like? Is she trying to like crush the mines, or with a scene?
Well, let me explain. So she does that twice, actually. Stamps her feet, like does the whole like moment, and they look at her like, "Is that supposed to scare us off?" And she's like, "No, this is." And then right on cue, a bunch of bats come down from the ceiling and chase them off.
What?
Now, that's the best way I can describe
what happens.
it. These are dwarf miners who are used to working in environments like this, but they're terrified by a bunch of bats and they just run away.
And they run off like they gotta get out of there. They're so terrified of these bats coming to get them.
And then Durin the Fourth teleports in and just goes, "I'll love you," and she's like, "Love me later." And then they straight up do a hero pose together where he's got his axe and she's like, "Huh," and she's like, "This is just the beginning. They'll be back."
Yeah, we'll find
like,
out,
and we'll be ready. This is painful.
I feel like for me, the overarching sort of negative feeling that I had watching the whole episode was, man, Galadriel, imagine if you told Celebrimbor that Halbrand was Sauron. Imagine if you just told him this. None of
but
this.
He knows. He fucking knows already.
Yeah.
Oh god.
This whole episode is just spinning your wheels.
It's actually it's genuinely bizarre, like the way that they've constructed this. Basically, the episode ends with the idea that it's almost like a race against time for Celebrimbor to finish building the rings for men, right as Adar is about to invade Eregion. Like, right as that's happening. Why? Why would it be? Why?
The rings for men aren't going to save Eregion. Like,
No.
this is just a completely
Well, I think the
tangential
idea is
thing.
it's like not even the point, right? It's that they'll be made just in time, and then Celebrimbor will realize, oh no, everything's gone wrong, and then he will get killed, and then
I
that'll
have
be bad.
been wrong about everything. Wah.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Like,
I mean, he's gone at this point. Like, he is completely like delusional. Sauron is able to project things that aren't real around him, so that he's convinced to just go back to work by himself.
Well, it doesn't even make any sense. He hears what sounds like the siege alarm, and then he goes outside, and it's daytime when it was nighttime, and it's like, dude, what do you think is actually happening right now? Clearly, you are not well. What if he said to Sauron, you know, I think I'm going to take a nap. I'm tired. I'm going to go to sleep. Then what? I guess he'd have no rings.
Yeah. Well, it's weird as well because Sauron is now in the guise of, is it Anatar?
Yeah.
The bringer of gifts. He has risen through the ranks and he has failed upwards quicker than fucking
Jack Schaefer.
Yeah, Jack Schaefer, any feminist activist in Hollywood, basically. So now he's essentially the de facto
Lord of
leader
Eregion.
of Eregion. He can issue orders to people. He can govern in Celebrimbor's stead. Just because he said, "Trust me, bro." Celebrimbor said it's okay that I'm in charge of everything now, and all the other elves are just like, "Yeah, well, I'm convinced. I suppose sounds good to me."
I found this episode to be quite sloppy in terms of a lot of things, like of setting things up. Like, I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. The elf ranger guy.
Arondir.
Yeah. Where he fights some orcs and then he finds a map that basically tells him to go to Eregion, and then we don't see him for the rest of the episode.
That's it. They
Presumably
just need to remind you that he's there.
Yeah, remind you that he exists and that when he shows up at Eregion when they have the big battle, it's like, see, it made sense. Some orcs were carrying a map that told him to go there. Like, really?
There's so many. This is the frustrating thing about the show. Like, even if you put aside the shitty acting and the horrible dialogue and all that stuff, like structurally, it is so fragmented and it is so disparate. You've essentially just got a whole bunch of different story strands that don't really intersect with each other. And it's just a bunch of different things going on in different places. None of it feels like there's any real connection to any of it, and it's so boring to watch.
Like it drags and drags and drags. Like the stuff on all of the stuff that's been happening in Numenor feels totally isolated from the rest of the story.
Yeah. And it's so dull as well. It's so simplistic. It's like, so, yeah, to put it into context, I suppose, like, Farazon has staged a coup, and, you know, because he just interrupted the coronation and an eagle showed up, everyone decided he's king now. Like, yeah, okay, fine. Then it's like, we have to get rid of Elendil because he's a threat to, like, the reign. He's still loyal to the previous queen. What can we do? We'll just provoke him into fighting with our guys, and then we can set some trumped up charges against him and just have him killed. So, okay, they go through all of that, and then he refuses to accept Farazon as the new king. So it's like, you're going to be judged by the sea monster thing that we can just summon at will. And if it likes you, then you'll survive. And if it decides that you're guilty, it'll eat you. So he goes down to the beach, and then the queen, whatever her name is, takes his place because apparently she can do that according to the law.
The sea is always right.
The sea is always right.
Say that.
What happened to your wife? She drowned.
Exactly. The sea is always right.
Yeah, okay.
I do like the idea that he was like, wow, my wife's supposed to be evil. Jeez. I wonder what she was up to. Damn.
So then the monster fucking eats her and then spits her out, and everyone's like, she's the real queen, yay! And that's it. That's the plot resolved, I suppose, from that. Like, what was the point in any of that? It's just a waste of time.
Is very much what is the point of that? Is if it's actually going to be that she's back in charge again at the end of season 2, what the hell is the point? Why was this a subplot that occupied several episodes?
Of this. You know, like, what's his name? Adar and his orc army, right? At the end of the previous episode, they were at the gates of Eregion. And at the end of this episode, they're at the gates of the Eregion. But
we had a riveting conversation with Galadriel. And then she was like, no, you can't invade Eregion. That's what Sauron wants. Don't do it. And then he does it because, isn't that tragic? God.
And the whole conversation he has with her that basically spans the episode, it kind of bookends it. She ends up just telling him the things that he already knows anyway.
And then he like declares, see, you have revealed to me things that I really wanted to know, and you did it. Yeah, now I'm gonna. This is your fault, Galadriel. And it's like, true, it is your fault. Like,
she's responsible for a lot of bad shit at this point. She's stacking up her crimes.
But you don't understand Mauler. There's a tempest in her.
That's true. This episode in particular really was driving home, man. The not Sauron Nori like subplot. Oh my god, this takes up so much time and we're moving so slowly.
It's funny as well. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this. They seem to have made a conscious effort to make Nori more attractive with each episode. Like, they've somehow tried to make the actress, like, they've taken all the stupid shit out of her hair. Wow. They've put more makeup on her to make her like look hotter. And I don't know what they're going for there, but it's like, are they just trying to make her more heroic looking or what? But like, her scenes are so boring. I don't know why she's so loyal to Gandalf. She barely knows him. She doesn't know anything about him, but she's willing to give up everything for this dude. None of this
killing her, doesn't he?
Several times.
He keeps nearly killing her. Yeah, he's nearly killed her.
Exactly. Well, that's what good friends do, As, don't you understand?
Remember, season 1 was obsessed with repeating that her whole thing is she's got to see the world. She's got to see the world out there, the big old wide world. She can't be, got to go off trail, all that bullshit. Season 2, I feel like they've not been keeping up with that in terms of giving her payoffs of appreciating the world around her, talking about how amazing it is. She doesn't
have a character, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Have an arc.
It's the worst of both worlds. They told us and told us and told us and told us that's her character. And they didn't have it shown through action at all. She's sort of just going through the motions of being like, where are we now? What the fuck's going on? Oh, this gotta fight Gandalf there. Like, it's not. It feels like such a fucking pointless plot line.
You know how I remember in the Lord of the Rings movies when characters had morals. They had a moral code. They had things that mattered to them and principles, and like they were constantly tested throughout the movies. And they often had to make difficult decisions about, like, well, what's more important? Is it the bonds of friendship, or is it loyalty to your country, your people, the greater like doom that spells, like, you know, from the ring, or do you help the things that are in front of you? like all of those issues were constantly thrown at them, and it was a real test of character for all of them. There's none of that in this. Every character just kind of reacts to whatever thing's thrown at them this week.
Yeah.
And there's no unifying theme that ties any of it together. It's just so like writing by numbers. It's like they've got a bunch of things that need to happen in order for the plot to move forward, and that's all that matters. Like none of this actually feels like a real world with real people in it.